I'll be right back.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Infinite Gains, and we're back with the GME and AMC update video. Apparently, Ryan Cohen filed some form that moved his shares from RC Ventures back into his actual name. Does this mean anything? Not really. I mean, honestly, I have no idea what it would even accomplish. So as right now, it's a nothing burger. I wouldn't really pay attention to it. Unless we get some more information, unless something else comes out and it is, actually something. But as of now, I don't really see what it does. Price action has to reflect on the chart regardless. This isn't actually too bad of a setup, right? I know that we previously talked about this control. It's currently at 27.79. That's not bad. I mean, I know that we gapped underneath it. Now we're kind of pushing. It is acting as resistance now, but that's perfectly fine. Your stochastic RSI is in the lower range. You can see, it's pretty oversold, the oversold territory. Your MACD is curling up on a daily time frame. That's not a bad thing to see, especially, as you can see multiple times, what can, occur. So that's not too bad. Stochastics in the lower range, MACD's curling up. You're right under resistance at that control at 27.79. That's not bad. That's not too bad of a thing to see. If we go down to that 4-hour chart, you can see that we are currently right at resistance. We did get rejected off that 4-hour control at 28.96, so you would want to recover that. You would want to see something like this back into a recovery. My thing is that we need to be coming back up to test 34.10. What is 34.10? That's your daily value area high. So, guys, when this breaks, you should see an extended move. It shouldn't be playing around, right? It shouldn't be messing around. I know that was a brutal rejection. I knew initially that the value area high was going to be obvious resistance, but that was pretty brutal. I know. And I know a lot of people got wrecked in call options. I'm going to be honest with you. I tried to warn you, and it is brutal. I know a lot of people lost a lot of money in calls, but this is the nature of calls. Like, I've always been an advocate of just buying shares. Shares don't expire, and you don't really have to worry about it. Like, you're worried about your options every single day unless you're actively trading them, But I would be surprised if price action doesn't build itself out. So this right here is your next quarterly options expiration. So you have a options expiration on the third Friday of each month, and then you have quarterly expiration. So the next one would be actually, this doesn't really make sense. It should be in March. There's one in March, April, May, June. So actually, there should be one a little bit sooner. Anyways, price action should build itself out, by March. I think it's March 15th or something like this. There's an option expiration around March, and then the next one is June. The June one is the one that has $125 contracts for GME, but there is an quarterly option expiration date in March. Look, I mean, if you're not recovering back up to 34 by March, like, something is really wrong with this stock. Like, something is really wrong, because I mean, if you can't build a require price action by March, latest by June, something is freaking wrong. Like, Kitty finessed us. Like, Ryan Cohen finessed us, because price action, like, it just should be building out by then. It just can't. Like, it would be pretty crazy just for have price action just be in limbo. I mean, it currently is just limping along, but I mean, things can change quickly. I mean, as you all know, things can change within a few days. It's not a bad setup. Your stochastics in the lower range, your MACD's curling up on the daily. You're right under the daily point of control. It's not bad. The chart doesn't look bad. It looks like it could change. You just need to get above that control, 27.79. Like, we need to get above that this week. Like, we need to be trading above it. It's just not a good look. If we get rejected here, then that could be pretty brutal. I I would say odds favor that we break it to the upside. Um, yeah, you just can't get a rejection here. Like you literally, all I'm looking for is for us to get above 27.79, like hopefully this week, and then use it as support. And this, if that happens, it's a very different looking chart. I mean, it's kind of like in this middle zone where it has to make a decision. I mean, if we're trading above the point of control, if we're trading above 34.10, I mean, I just don't see how we can be taken that far into June. I mean, that would just be insanity. So we'll see. I would say give it a week. So I'll give it a week from today to see if we can trade above that control at 27.79. I think if that happens, it'd be a very different chart. But yeah, I mean, it's really just not even a bad setup right now. I mean, everything's kind of saying that it's oversold. We've had super low volume into this pullback. That's by definition, that's good. I mean, it's a low volume pullback. It's something that you would want to see. You'd want to see a pullback with no volume, and then a recovery, and then you'd want to see volume come back in. So all in all, chart looks pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say like it's freaking amazing, but I mean, it genuinely doesn't even look that bad. I know kind of people have lost their steam and they're kind of just like kind of done. They're kind of over it, which I understand. But at the end of the day, the way that I kind of think about it is like, even if MOAS takes a year or even longer, it's still worth it because, you are looking at, other opportunities in the market that, could, multiply your money. One that we've been talking about XRP. Like we were talking about XRP at 30 cents and now it's at $3. There are a lot of other opportunities in the market, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, you shouldn't be allocating 100% of your capital to GME and AMC, but at the same time, even if it takes that long for MOAS to play out, I mean, it's like, what else are you going to do? Are you just going to throw your money in the S&P 500, make, now it's kind of too late for that. Like, what are you going to be making? 5%. Okay. Even if MOAS takes quite a long time, I mean, it's still mathematically like worth it. To multiply your capital. So, it's up to you. AMC, look, I know that we talked about this previously, and I already said that this AMC was most likely going to 277. It just looks more likely now. I mean, you've retraced the entire May move. The entire May move's gone. You might as well hit the value area low at 277. Like you might as well now. like there's honestly there's not even any virtue in even bulls defending this zone. Like you literally just might as well hit 277 at this point. You need to see some kind of rebound there, or else, I mean, it really just risks oblivion. Like it just, like you need to see a bounce at 277. Maybe if we go to like some kind of lower time frame. Yeah, I mean, you're right at support. I would give AMC support until 305. I would say if 305 breaks, you're going to 277, and you need to see a bounce at 277. Like you need to, or else, I mean, you could actually risk this thing just dying. I mean, being like just not even a penny stock anymore. Like this shit could get delisted. You need 277 to bounce. You need it. I will give AMC until 305, even though technically we broke our previous low. So that previous low around like 323 or something. Yeah. We can find support here. We're right in the middle of a fair value gap, like right here. So I'll give AMC the benefit of the doubt. I'll give it support here at 321. But if you don't recover, like if you don't do something like this, like if you don't do something like that where you recover 336, I mean, you're going to 277. You're going to 277. I would actually be a buyer at 277, because to me that would just be a low risk trade, because all I'm looking for is a bounce. Like all I'm looking for is a bounce at 277 to 275. Like if we don't get it, then I'm out. Like it's honestly a low risk trade setup for me. If like we do happen to go to 277, it's like it's pretty simple. You buy at 277. If it slips below 275, then you just get out. I mean, it's a pretty simple trade. Right now, I'll give it support at 321. If we don't bounce here, if we don't bounce at 305, 277 is programmed. Like straight up, if 305 doesn't bounce, 277 is programmed. Full stop. Let's take a look at costs. So costs actually broke the daily 200. That was definitely not preferable, and honestly, it was kind of unusual. It didn't make too much sense. We're right at the bottom of the daily fair value gap, so again, I'll give it support here. I'll give it support at $6. Probably better if we go to a lower time frame and check this thing out. Yeah, this doesn't look that good. It literally, I mean, the way that it's presenting itself, it looks like it wants 497. Honestly, it looks like it wants to fill that gap. It looks like it wants to fill the gap on the 4-hour chart of 497. I will say this, the MACD and the stochastic RSI are extremely oversold, so it could snap back here. But I mean, if you come back up and get a rejection at your daily 200, that's not good. Let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour has support, but it's still saying it wants lower. I wouldn't really make it. I mean, honestly, I would still be a buyer here because, you know, if you're just averaging, again, cost doesn't even have options, so you're literally just buying shares. So honestly, this would be a good strategy regardless to just dollar cost average into cost here. Even if we do drop, you know, up to 494, I would be. Yeah, I would just wait. If you're waiting to buy, I would just wait until you either get a rejection or recover the daily 200 SMA. That's a pretty big deal, losing the daily 200. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. So I would definitely be a buyer at this gap fill on the daily chart, because you not only do you have a gap fill, but you have a fair value gap. So I would be perfectly fine with that. That looks pretty bearish, I'm not gonna lie, but I'd be perfectly fine with that if we come back down and then have some kind of rebound. I'm perfectly fine with that. I would be a buyer right at that 497 to 475. So I would definitely be a buyer in this zone. You kind of let stochastic RSI cool off a little bit more and the MACD get really freaking oversold before it rebounds. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have to be bearish because we lost the daily 200. If you snap back up and recover it, you know, that's kind of a different story. But if you're kind of waiting to buy costs, I would just wait. Let price action play out a little bit more. See if it gets a rejection from the daily 200. But yeah, I would definitely be a buyer at that 497 to 480 mark. Let's go ahead and look at Curve Finance. Curve Finance is currently trading at its daily 100 SMA. You can, I mean, clear as day, the stochastic RSI is just oversold. Like it's just oversold. Your MACD actually looks, honestly, your MACD looks great. I mean, it completely reset on a daily time frame. So this actually looks good. You came right back down into your fair value gap. It was a little bit unusual that we came down this low, but I guess in retrospect, it kind of made sense. You did break your daily value area high. Again, I mean, I think this is kind of just, okay, why are none of my drawings are working? So I guess I'll just reload the chart. Yeah, I mean, it's clear as day. You can just kind of see this kind of flagging pattern. It's really not that complicated. But yeah, something like this. I mean, yeah, I would definitely be a buyer here. You can already see on the 4-hour chart, you're literally bouncing off your daily 100 SMA. You know, if you're able to, I could definitely see something like this where you come back, reclaim your value area low, and then try to break out. Yeah, I would definitely be a buyer here. I think this is kind of a no-brainer. On the daily chart, looks good. You came right back into that fair value gap. This looks good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you literally bounced into your fair value gap. Stochastic RSI is oversold along with your MACD on a daily time frame. I'm definitely scooping up some more CRV here. Like, it's kind of just a no-brainer for me. It's literally a macro bull flag on the daily chart. Can you really ask for better than that? Not really. Also, your Bitcoin dominance is going insane. Again, CRV literally just trades opposite of Bitcoin dominance. I could see Bitcoin dominance coming up into this range and getting a rejection. Around that 60% range and getting a rejection. I'm perfectly fine with that. We'll kind of reassess by that. But, I mean, you recovered 59.49, which is technically bullish. So, I could see a shot up to 60% before, alts are kind of allowed to run. But as far as CV goes, like, yeah, kind of a no-brainer. You should be dollar cost averaging in this zone. AMD, I don't really want to go over AMD. It's kind of weird. I would say it's short-term bullish, especially in the daily chart. Going into this gap fill, yeah, I would say it's short-term bullish all the way until 146, which is a pretty decent run. That's all the way back to the daily 200. Yeah, I have no problem with that. It slipped down below 122.64 outside of its value area low. I have no problem buying the rebound here, especially with Nvidia. If we go take a look at Nvidia, and this is our old chart. This is our old Nvidia chart. Maybe actually it's this one. So this is our super old Nvidia chart. In fact, we actually call it the top of Nvidia, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know if you guys remember, but we posted this so long ago. When was this? October. So we posted this in October, and pretty damn near called the top here. It doesn't really get better than that. From 151 down to 117. That's a pretty decent trade. So that's not bad, guys. We called that back in October. Honestly, yeah, it was. I remember posting it, but I just hadn't followed up on it. But it had been quite some time. Price action was choppy, but we did finally get that dip. But let's just go to shorter time frame and kind of take a look at it. Because, if NVIDIA's recovering, then AMD is going to recover. And honestly, price action looks pretty decent for NVIDIA. Like, it can definitely... I would say I would be definitely surprised if we don't gap fill on NVIDIA. And so, just that kind of thinking, following over to AMD... Yeah, I think you have a decent chance of recovering 122.64 and having to move back to the daily 200, which is all the way at 148. So that's a pretty decent trade. Now I would say it's a low risk setup. I would just set your stop loss at your recent low on AMD. Why can't I even make it? Yeah, long position. I would literally just take a long here, and then I would just have my stop loss right at the recent low. And I would target this next fair value gap at 138. If you're a little bit more risky, then yeah, you can literally target up to the daily 200. So I would say that's a pretty low risk trade. Tesla, I would say Tesla's definitely at least going down to 361 right now. The daily doesn't look too hot. It got a rejection, so this is actually its 20 and 50 daily SMA. Got a rejection from its 50. I would say short-term price action. It's definitely going to 361. I actually posted about this actually a while ago. I think I posted this at 434 that we were bearish on Tesla. Actually, that may have even been on my Twitter, but we'll check. But yeah, the thesis is playing out. You got a rejection for the 50 SMA. On the daily time frame, it's bearish. Even though kind of the MACD and the stochastic RSI are kind of in the lower range, it can go a little bit more lower before it sees a rebound. Yeah, so I have really no problem being bearish on Tesla until at least 361. We already went over NVIDIA and everything. So this is MSTR. Unfortunately, it's not that clear. I would say it's technically bullish. I would say MSTR is bullish. I know that we've been a huge bear on it, but I'm only bearish in the sense that long term the stock is going to shit the bed. Yeah, this stock does not deserve its valuation. The stock is actually just a pile of dog poo. It has no inherent value. It's a company that literally just buys Bitcoin at shitty fills too. It just bought Bitcoin at $105,000. Like how, like honestly, it's literally just like a shitty Bitcoin trader turned into a company that just somehow has billions of dollars. Doesn't make too much sense. Yes, I understand the kind of the back end mechanics of, yeah, he's literally diluting his company. He's selling, convertible bonds. Yeah, this is just a disaster. There's no real way that you cut it in which this is like a legitimate company that deserves any kind of valuation. Especially whenever Bitcoin, obviously the company looks good whenever Bitcoin's in a bull market, but as soon as you see a bear market, this company is legit worthless, right? I mean, imagine investing in a company that's a leveraged product to Bitcoin during a Bitcoin bear market. No one in their right mind would actually do that, right? If you were smart, you would just dump the living shit out of the stock. I mean, there's literally no point to the stock. The stock is literally just acting as a leveraged product at this point. Like, it literally serves no other purpose. As of right now, I'm not stupid enough to just be bearish on it. As of right now, you're actually trying to recover the daily 20 SMA. You're currently right under it. So I would say if you're able to recover, the daily stochastic's in the lower range. MACD looks a little bit weird, but it's definitely cooled off. If we go down to the 4 hour, we might be able to get some kind of a better picture here. Yeah, so this is actually bearish right now. Unless you cross up above 345. I'll actually give it the benefit of the doubt and just say it's bullish prematurely. So like if you see something like this and then a recovery. So I would say it's prematurely bullish because your MACD is kind of curling and your stochastics are RSIs in the bottom range. So I would say prematurely it's actually not technically bearish right now. If you recover 345, I'd feel more confident in a in a bullish thesis. But again, I'm not actively trading MSTR. Guys, the last time I posted about MSTR, we literally called the top, and this thing dumped. How bad did it dump? 47%. All right, so we made 47%, and I was telling you that I was buying put leaps. So you kind of do the math here. Was that a bad trade? No. I'm not perma bullish. I'm not perma bearish on any stock. Right now, I would just let MSTR play itself out. I mean, you could have macro targets up again. I mean, if you just went back to all-time highs, that'd be 540. If you cleared all-time highs, I would say your next real target for potential reversal would be 660. That would be pretty overextended. You could maybe even tag kind of the next level after that, which is 677.26. Yeah. This thing is just a godsend. Like the higher it goes, the more I'm just like, thank you. Like, thank you for going higher because I'm gonna short you even more. I mean, this thing is just a long-term short. This thing is just a long-term short. During a bear market, it will shit the bed. Hell, it's not even a bear market, and it went down 47% on a retracement. Like, you guys do the math. Like, this thing could easily go down 60, 70% or even more during a true Bitcoin bear market. So I would just let it rip. I would just let it fly. If it goes up to 670 or even potentially higher, that's even better. That's actually what we want because we're about to short the living hell out of MSTR. But I digress. Anyways, we went over a lot of different stocks. You guys comment if you want me to go over different stocks. You guys have access to me on Twitter as well. Just add me on there, message me. Also, you guys can join the Discord. So the Discord's going to be in the comments and the description, so make sure to join that. And you guys will have access to me. But yeah, I'm thinking we're back. Peace out. See you guys in the next one.